We have to jump right into this because this has been one of the big stories. Excuse me, Mr. Lake. I know what you're thinking. Hal, why are you reviewing old X-Men movies? No. I'm simply here to. I guess Fox is just hiring people who look like supervillains now as a business model. This is the Tucker Carlson clip where she brings on George Santos and gives him the what for. Now, I haven't watched this whole thing. Some people have posted a couple of little pieces of it. I have not watched those either. But I have a feeling that people think that she just slams him nonstop, I guess for 8 minutes and 37 seconds. That's how long this clip is. Doesn't let him off the hook. And by the end of it, he's in a fetal position saying, I quit. Or could she use the illusion that I really held his feet to the fire to cover for Republicans who would rather not have to legislate with a Hispanic or gay member or what have you, or I guess another Catholic or someone who's Jewish, whatever their reason to hate George Santos and not want to be around him is, let her broom him out, I think is the shtick, right? So let's see, she's filling in for Tucker. And honestly, those are big drawers to fill. And I'm sure they might seem a little tight, but we'll see how well she does.
Now, Permanent Washington has created a culture.
Permanent Washington. Is that another name for the establishment? Or it's the deep state? It's code for deep state. Just say deep state.
Where it's acceptable to lie to further your own interests.
Mm-hmm. Having a moment. It's a little freeze frame that's some locked shut eyes.
Just try not to get caught. I should know. I served in Congress for 8 years.
And you didn't manage not to get caught. Cool.
But even when these politicians do get caught, people just shrug their shoulders and move on. No big deal. No
Right. But not tonight. And not on Tucker Carlson.
Consequences. A few examples. Dick Blumenthal lied about his military service.
Richard Blumenthal. He doesn't go by Dick. But I saw what you did there.
And of course, Elizabeth Warren. She lied about having Native American heritage.
Or her family's belief that she did, or what she'd been told about it, and then she had she went and had Ancestry.com or 23andMe, and it turned out to be less than she thought. I mean, blonde hair, blue eyes, it's always questionable in that regard. Not wholly. I mean, granted, Kevin McCarthy's family, again, as one of our callers when I was filling in for Joan Esposito pointed out, told the government he's 1/8 Cherokee. And got government contracts off of it.
So no one should be surprised.
Yeah, it's the same. These are the same. She didn't fake her diploma. Neither did Blumenthal. Which are, sort of crucial to your ability to understand, contemplate, and produce legislation for your constituents.
The American people don't trust these politicians. They've got no faith that those in Washington are actually working for the people.
Yeah, that's why some of them lose re-election.
When they're so clearly working for themselves. Now, there are new accusations that George Santos, who was just elected to represent New York in Congress in this past election, has actually been lying extensively about his own past.
Dun, dun, dun.
He admits to some of these deceptions. For example, Santos acknowledges that he, quote, embellished his resume by saying that he graduated from Baruch College, but he didn't. Now, Santos has also admitted he never actually worked for Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, even though his website suggested that he did. Additionally, Santos once called himself a proud Jew.
That's a soundbite waiting to happen.
In an interview with the New York Post, Santos now says, quote, I am Catholic because I learned my maternal family.
By the way, this dude is sitting off, to the side or in a studio waiting to go on watching this happen.
Jewish background. I said I was Jew-ish. there are other accusations, but now we have the opportunity to hear directly from George Santos himself. This is his very first TV interview since these accusations surfaced. George.
By the way, remember Don Jr., remember all the people who come on, or Matt Gaetz, or to some degree even like Carter Page, people come on to Tucker Carlson's show to like as a car wash to get through, difficult controversies. Just, other shows they might, not survive, but
George Santos joins us now. Congressman-elect Santos, thank you for joining us today. First question I really want to ask you, now that all of this has been revealed, is what does the word integrity mean to you?
Damn! She's on orders to get rid of him. I'm just saying.
Well, Tulsi, thank you for having me. To answer your question, integrity is very important. And like I said to the New York...
That doesn't answer the question. Integrity. What is integrity to you? You got to tell me what it is before, when you say it's important, I know what you mean by it being important. Never mind.
Post. Embellishing
what does it mean, though?
There you go.
What does it mean? Because the meaning of the word actually matters in practice.
Well, it means you can be out of integrity, or you can be integrity. Does that work?
Of course. It means to carry yourself in an honorable way. And I made a mistake. And I think humans are flawed, and we all...
Several mistakes, lots of mistakes. And also not mistakes. They aren't mistakes. Nobody goes, did I graduate from Yale? Or did I say Yale? I meant DeVry. I was a mistake. Sorry, how many months have I been saying that? I wrote it down. It's on my website. What the fuck?
Make mistakes, Tulsi.
Yeah. Nobody's perfect, okay?
I think we can all look at ourselves in the mirror and admit that once in our life we made a mistake.
Yes, I think we can. Few of us have made mistakes where they just kind of made up their past whole cloth. Like maybe, those guys on Discovery Plus or ID shows where they have an entire other family. Not so much a mistake.
I'm having to admit this
as a scheme. Yeah, he's got integrity-ish. That's right, Matt.
National television for the whole country to see. And I have the courage to do so because I believe that in order to move past this and move forward and be an effective member of Congress, I have to face my mistakes, and I'm facing them.
No, you're not. If you keep calling them mistakes, they are not mistakes. I had a take on something, and I fucking whiffed it. It's not a mistake, dummy.
The reality is that I remain committed to doing everything I set forward in my campaign. I'm not...
Yeah, but how is anybody supposed to know that? Are you committed to being a proud Jew? I think is the...
I'm a fraud. Right. I'm not a fake.
Yeah, you are. And if you have to come out and say, I'm not a fraud, I'm not a fake, probably ship has sailed.
I didn't materialize from thin air. I worked damn hard to get where I got my...
Yes, lying is sweaty work. It is the ditch digging of politics. Being completely full of shit is... You can't be second generation full of shit. Oh, wait, Don Jr. and Eric. Never mind.
Entire life. Life wasn't easy. It didn't start off easy. As I've said it many, many times, I come from abject poverty.
Yeah. First of all, no, you didn't. You didn't come from abject poverty.
Made some mistakes, and I own up to them.
Yeah, no, you don't. Again, if you're calling active lies you participated in willingly and knowingly, those weren't mistakes. What was the mistake in that situation? That you lied too much where people started asking questions?
And now I want to put this past me so I can deliver for the American people.
The thing is, Congressman-elect, integrity means, yes, carrying yourself with honor, but it means telling the truth, being a person of integrity. And if I were one of...
Yes, the definition of integrity is having it.
of those in New York's 3rd district right now that the election is over, and I'm finding out all of these lies that you've told, not just one little lie or one little embellishment. These are blatant lies. My question is, do you have no shame? Do you have no shame in the people who are now, you're asking to trust you to go and be their voice for them, their families, and their kids in Washington?
Guess what, dude? Fox has decided, and Tulsi and everybody there, that they get to earn their fair and balanced stripes by putting a footprint on your fucking back. And you handed them this win.
Tulsi, I can say the same thing.
Look at this. Rep-elect George Santos to Tulsi. I can explain. Did he say I can explain? I think he just said I've made mistakes. He hasn't explained any of it. I'm beginning to think they created these before he even got on the air.
About the Democrats and the party. Look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden's been lying to the American people for 40 years. He's the president of the United States. Democrats resoundingly support him. Do they have no shame? I've made this very clear.
This is not about the Democratic Party, though. This is about your relationship, frankly.
Sure it is. That's why you started with Richard Blumenthal and Elizabeth Warren, dum-dum. She's laying out a whataboutism for him as an exit ramp, even if he doesn't use it.
But the people who've entrusted you to go and fight for them. And I think one of the questions that really probably hits home to a lot of people is are you Jewish? We've got
Is it? That's one of the questions that really hits home. Because the answer is no. I guess maybe that question used to hit home, but now it's moving out. It's getting its own. That lie is getting its own apartment and setting up shop. It's going to live above a coffee house and enjoy the aroma.
A letter that your campaign sent out earlier this year, which reads as follows. As a proud American Jew, I've been to Israel numerous times for educational, business, and leisurely trips.
Also, leisure trips versus leisurely trips is weird.
You said there in that letter that you are, quote, a proud American Jew. How do you explain that?
My heritage is Jewish. I've always identified as Jewish. I was raised a practicing Catholic. I think I've gone through this.
Then you haven't always identified as Jewish.
Even I've not being raised a practicing Jew, I've always joked with friends and circles, even in the campaign, I'd say, guys, I'm Jewish. Remember, I was raised Catholic. So, look, I understand everybody wants to nitpick at me.
Yes, what's the difference? Catholic, Jewish. I mean, it's Abrahamic traditions. Savior, not a savior. Demographically, Republicans largely favoring the idea that Jesus was actually their savior, that even if they don't live up to the standards at all of what they purport to believe. What difference does it make?
I'm going to reassure this.
Look at this. I'm not Jewish. I'm Jewish. Wow.
Once and for all. I'm not a facade. I'm not a persona. I have an extensive...
I'm a person. I'm a real person, okay? And nobody's perfect, okay? You're not perfect. Stop holding me to a perfect standard of basic lies.
...career that I worked really hard to achieve. And I'm going to deliver from my...
Which, by the way, did not include working for Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, which he said he did.
Experience, because I remain committed in delivering results for the American people. I campaigned on inflation. I campaigned on crime. I campaigned on education.
Right, but it's a little difficult to think that you'll actually... How do they know? You campaigned on inflation, you campaigned on crime, maybe to make them worse? Was it a trick?
I campaigned on delivering results for the American people. That's what the people of the 3rd Congressional District heard me on and on as I campaigned. Now it's going to be incumbent upon me to deliver on those results. And I look forward to serving my district. I look forward to serving my people in my district to make sure that they see that this is what
looking for. The results that people are looking for are called into question when you tell blatant lies, not embellishments. And this is, I think, one of the biggest concerns, Congressman-elect, is that you don't really seem to be taking this seriously. You've apologized. You said you've made mistakes, but you've outright lied. A lie is not an embellishment on a resume. You said you worked at Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, but they've said, we've got no record of this guy working for us. You've said you've gone to and graduated from these universities, but they've said, well, we've got no record of that. These are blatant lies, and it calls into question how your constituents and the American people can believe anything that you may say when you are standing on the floor of the House.
Right. You stood there and you told people that you were worth billions. And it turns out you've got more debt than anyone else in New York real estate. You told people that your hotels and your houses were worth millions more, if not billions more in some cases, than they actually were. And then you lied to the IRS and said they weren't worth shit and that you were taking a loss on them. Oh, wait, not him. Sorry, I get him mixed up. There was some other Republican. Anybody remember?
Representatives supposedly fighting for them. That's the real issue here.
Well, look, I agree with what you're saying. And as I stated, and I continue, we can debate my resume and how I worked with firms such as Goldman and Citigroup.
Is it debatable or is it just false?
No,
is it debatable or is it just
debatable.
false?
No, it's not false at all. It's debatable. I can sit down and explain to you what you can do in private equity, in capital intro, via servicing limited partners and general partners. And we can have this discussion that's going to go way above the American people's head. But that's...
Give it a try. I'm gonna guess that the general public knows the difference between being a federal contractor and a federal employee, or the difference between being the guy who drives the truck that brings soda to the restaurant and being a restaurant owner. I'm pretty sure we get the difference.
That's not what I campaigned.
But the important thing is American people need to know that they're stupid and they could never understand him. You can't understand. Like, look, it's complicated, okay? You can't do it. It's cruel and unusual to try and get you to understand complicated things. It's just mean to you, being the big American dum-dum that you are. But he wants to serve you.
I campaigned on delivering results for the American people by lowering inflation. I can sit down, and if you want to have that discussion, I'd be glad to, Tulsi, to explain.
You are sitting, she is sitting, you are having that discussion. That is actually happening. When is this going to happen? We can have coffee. We'll have shrimp.
That to you and make sure that we settle the score.
This is not about settling scores, and I think you just kind of highlighted, I think, my concern and the concern that people at home have. You're saying that this discussion will go way above the heads of the American people, basically insulting their intelligence. So not only are you...
Why do I have to agree with Tulsi Gabbard on some things or be ahead of her on these things? It's just sad. Oh, I know why. Because he's such a fucking idiot. This is the response anybody would have.
You now backtracking on these lies that you've told, but you're saying that you can't explain it in a way that your constituents would actually be able to understand.
Excuse me, it's not Tulsi, it's former Congresswoman Gabbard to you, Congressman-elect DeValder.
Explain it in a way. If you give me the time, I can easily explain it for you. As in, when investors are looking for capital, and I'm sitting there doing due diligence on the appetite and what they're looking for, right? And we work alongside GPs and LPs to help them place this capital. This is what I was doing, and that's when I worked extensively with these firms. And
hi, asshat. I got bad news for you. The entire Republican Party's argument for why they should be in office at all right now is the idea that Hunter Biden had no skilled jobs where he was just guiding investments to large firms. You're fucking with their nest egg.
Many other firms at my time as I was vice president of Linkbridge Investors. So this isn't a made.
Yeah, having your own private company is nothing to sneeze at. Just say that. You don't have to make up that you worked for bigger firms, dipshit.
Up narrative, but I feel like nobody really wants to sit down and talk about it. Everybody just wants to push me and call me a liar. Look,
Boo fuckity who. You are a liar. You lied. Dum-dum. It like big, egregious, dippy lies. Oh, God. This is intolerable.
Congressman.
By the way, you now know why Tucker Carlson wasn't the host when this asshole came on, because he refused to do the deed.
Santos.
I did.
Congressman-elect Santos, we've given you a lot of time. I think the time that is owed is to the people of New York's 3rd. It's hard to imagine how they could possibly trust your explanations when you're not really even willing to admit the depth of your deception to them. Thank you so much for being here and joining us.
Subscribe to the Fox News.
No, I'm not going to do that. So they're brooming him. Yeah, they had Tulsi do the hatchet job for them because they don't want him around, and there's no salvaging him. He's an asshole. He's a total liar. Total embarrassment. They have to go after him with both barrels. Otherwise, he'll drag a bunch of other ones with him. And if they allow him to be seated, he runs interference on, like, he's the guy they constantly get, the Democrats and others get to constantly bring up whenever the Republicans, talk about integrity or what have you. The same way that Trump used Pocahontas all the time, that this is the same thing. It's not going anywhere.